Hey there everyone, it is 80 here once again with another game of Starcraft 2. This will be a Terran vs Zerg here on Shakuras Plateau. Starting first in the bottom left is the red Terran. His name is Happy. Happy is a Russian pro gamer whose real name is Dmitry Kostin. He is a member of Team Empire and he used to be a Warcraft 3 player. He played Undead in that game, but now he has made the transition into Starcraft 2. He is ranked 3rd in the European Grandmaster League with 761 wins, along with only 158 losses. That is an 82% win rate for our Terran player. That is astronomical right there. His opponent for this game will be the Blue Zerg Liquid HayprO. HayprO is a Swedish pro gamer whose real name is Hayder Hussein, and he is of course on Team Liquid. He is a former Brood War player who used to play Terran and Zerg in that game, but now he is playing StarCraft 2 and he is playing Zerg. He is ranked 1st in the European Masters League Division Ramsey November with a record of 185 wins along with 159 losses, which is a 54% win rate for our Zerg player today. So as these players spawn here and start out with their early bases, they are going to be in cross positions here on Shakuras Plateau, one of the largest maps in the game. So that will probably indicate that these players will go some sort of macro build, as it does look like our Zerg player is saving up some resources. He might be going for a hatchery first rather, just because this is so easy on this map in these positions to go with that expansion first, and it does look like he is going to 300 resources, and this drone will be making the adventure down here to the natural and making that jump into becoming a hatchery as soon as he gets to 300, and there it goes, very nicely timed by HayprO. He will have the expansion started right around the 215 mark, which is very early but very suitable for this map, a very useful strategy. Meanwhile, we have Happy starting his wall up just because he couldn't be sure that his opponent was spawning far away, so he just wanted to make sure he wouldn't get early pooled and just kind of Zerglings out of this game here in the early game. He is luckily spawning here, or happily rather, spawning in the bottom left because his ramp faces this direction. That will allow this barracks to get an add-on right away without having to lift off somewhere else or have been placed far enough away to, say, put an add-on there. And it looks like he's actually going to be going for a factory right after this original barracks. So he might be going for some Hellion harass, or he might be going for a Destiny Cloudfist immediately into some Banshee harass at a starport. We'll just have to wait and see, as he is going to be getting a reactor on that barracks. So he probably will be lifting off that barracks and then landing the factory there to get some Hellions out and try to harass the mineral lines of our Zerg player. He is going to discover that HayprO has indeed expanded, and this hatchery is just moments away from popping and becoming the natural expansion for our Zerg player. This reactor about 3/4 of the way done, while this factory is also getting pretty close to completion. This drone, super sad that he won't be able to get into the base, but if he's paying attention to right here, he will notice that these buildings will probably have to lift up and swap, and there they go, and the drone will actually decide to run under there, delays it for a second. So Happy being delayed because HayprO is being a jerk and just walking that drone right under where the factory was trying to land. There is a roach warren going up for the Zerg player because he saw that his Terran opponent was going for a reactored factory, which of course always indicates Hellion play. He does have that first one on the way and a second one as well now. The first one is moments away from popping, while the second one is just now getting underway. This drone is staying alive in the main base, getting a ton of scouting done, now only at 2 HP. These Zerglings were chasing this SCV, but going to run right past a Hellion, and now the Hellion turns around to assist his SCV front, and now these Zerglings, the predators, becoming the prey, being roasted away. Now there are 2 Hellions on the field and 0 Zerglings, as they are going to be burning to a crisp right there. Poor Zerglings thought they could eat an SCV for free, but instead bit off more than they could chew, as Hellions came in to join the fight and roasted them away pretty quickly and pretty much without any trouble at all. And now Happy, if I can click these Hellions. Nope, apparently I can't click the Hellions. Just going to highlight them instead. There is a spine crawler here defending the base for HayprO, and he's actually going to be moving that a little bit closer to the ramp to make sure it's defending as well as possible. 3 roaches now on the field for our Zerg player as well, so he'll be able to defend his ramp pretty well if the Hellions decide to come back in. But now there are 4, so it looks like Happy might attempt a run-by, or I suppose a drive-by in this case. They will all make it past that original spine crawler, but now they're going to be meeting the business end of a Queen's Tentacles. Will get 1 Zergling there it seems, but Roach is now going to be telling them they're not welcome either. 1 Hellion did get poked to death by the long arm of that spine crawler. Looks like Happy has transitioned out of Hellion, starting to get a siege tank out of his factory, so he's probably swapped those buildings. He definitely has swapped his factory into a tech lab rather than that reactor. Going to be ceasing Hellion production. He still does have 3, however, so he might as well try to do some damage with these, but Hellions against Roaches, not good for the Hellions at all. These Roaches got to be careful not to go too far off the creep, as they are super duper slow without that upgrade when they venture off that creep. Looks like the Hellions managed to snipe 1 creep tumor. Will they be able to get a second one? Looks like this Hellion is really trying to do so, but the Roaches actually managed to kill off the Hellion before it could even destroy this last creep tumor. And I mean, in the first place, Hellions for creep tumors, not the best trade when you are the Terran player in that scenario. But there wasn't much else for those Hellions to do, so I guess he decided he might as well try to get some creep tumors. He did get 1, but unfortunately did not get that second one. He does have this command center becoming an orbital inside his base, so he will be on 2 bases pretty shortly as well. He's starting to get siege tanks out of this factory, and is also researching siege tech. That is about to finish. Stim pack about 3/4 of the way done at his barracks tech lab, and look at that, the orbital command actually dropping a mule before it takes off. So excellent macro right there. It's kind of microing his macro, deciding to drop that mule before he moves this orbital command rather. It saves him maybe 10 seconds of mining time, but in the long run, every little bit counts. So Happy just showing that pro gamers have everything down to a T. I mean, you might never even think to do that. Probably most players would just lift off that orbital, land, and then use the mule, but he is getting every little bit of an advantage he possibly can. Just showing you that he's thought this out and he does have a plan up his sleeve. Meanwhile, HayprO is getting his 3rd base online down here at the 3rd expansion, or the 3rd base rather, his 2nd expansion. He is already on lair tech and is starting to get his Baneling Nest as well. That is right about to finish in a matter of seconds here. He is getting melee attacks level 1 along with the Jalal reconstruction at his Roach Warren. Let's find that Roach Warren just to examine that, and there it is. Jalal reconstruction, of course, is just that movement speed for the Roaches, so it's interesting that he's going to be getting melee attacks level 1, but also upgrades for his Roaches, so he's not committing to one unit or the other. He's also going to be getting centrifugal hooks, it looks like, so he's going Roachling with Banelings as well, committing quite heavily to doing some damage here with tier 1 or tier 1.5 units rather, and he is right around 3/4 of the way done with this hatchery as well, so he will still be 1 base ahead on his Terran opponent. Of course, Zergs always love to stay at least 1 base ahead when they're playing a Terran or Protoss, just staying true to their Zergy nature. We see these Marines are actually very nicely split up. I'm not sure if you saw that Baneling Nest, but he is prepared for any Baneling attacks, and these Marines are very nicely not clumped together. Unfortunately, right as I say that, they do start to clump together once again, so Banelings might just ruin Happy's day right now, but he does have a medevac overhead which can evacuate Marines into it when they do see Banelings, so we'll have to keep an eye out on just how the battle unfolds when it does indeed happen. Just checking to make sure nothing was at that watchtower, and indeed nothing was. Looks like the Zerg player is going to be mustering his forces up right here with a spine crawler to boot. These drones going to be going to the 3rd base, just now transferring. Looks like the Terran player is going to be encroaching on the Zerg territory, just now getting on the creep, scanning to see what he's up against. We'll see the Banelings that will alert him to the fact that he needs to not get destroyed by Banelings right now. Roach is leading the charge. It looks like, nope, they're going to be diverting their attention up the ramp for the 3rd base. So now these Marines are stuck kind of in no man's land. They don't want to get too close to the rest of the units. Looks like that siege tank actually got taken out by Banelings. Unfortunate for both that siege tanks and for the Banelings, as that's not very cost effective. But of course, taking out a siege tank is better than getting blown up by the siege tank, so not terrible on our Zerg player's part. HayprO, now there's a bunch of Marines to shoot and everything they see right now for the Terran player, and the Zerg only has a couple of Roaches trying to defend. These drones are in some serious trouble as they are backed up into a corner if HayprO decides to leave them there. Happy is really over-stimming right now, stimming every one of his Marines almost to death. It looks like Broodlings might actually get a Marine. Nope, they don't get the Marine, but they are dangerously low on health, and now these drones trapped down here in the corner might get exterminated, unfortunately for them, as siege tanks just sieging up and going to work, taking out one of those extractors. These drones just desperately trying to play a game of hide and seek for their lives. This Marine actually going to be chilling here at the base, just making sure that nothing can happen there. Unfortunately for that Marine, there are drones chilling there that he should probably kill. He's going to be reprimanded for that later if he doesn't do so soon. There is a new 3rd hatchery coming here closer to our Zerg player's main base, so he will be able to defend that a little bit easier. There's still this clump of Marines still in the orange and red, and a few of them in the yellow just because they've stimmed so incredibly much. And now here come the roaches, a lot of roaches and banelings as well. The banelings do get fried away by the siege tanks, and now the roaches are right up in the siege tanks' faces, just destroying both of them, and now these Marines are in some serious trouble as roaches are going to be killing them. And there they go, the medevac deciding it wasn't even worth it to save them because there are mutalisks on her butt, and her butt gets exterminated as well. So great use of units, great use of counters rather by our Zerg player. These roaches first destroying those siege tanks and then cleaning up Marines, and then the mutas just making sure the medevac had no escape route at all. So now HayprO has reestablished this third hatchery. Now it is his fourth base. Going, strictly speaking, he will be 2 bases up on his Terran opponent here in the near future. Now mutas are going to be flying across the map, seeing if they can find something to harass. There's a command center right here that's just chilling in the middle of Happy's main. Marines stimming, trying to chase these mutas out of there. They will be able to make those mutas leave. Unfortunately for those Marines, they did all stim, which of course takes off their health. Just don't do drugs, kids. It's never a good idea. Looks like this command center will make the brave decision of actually coming down here to this third base without much to defend it, and the Terran player is trying to move his units out there, but these units will have a few seconds to just get pot shots off on this command center. They do manage to take about 200 hit points off of it. Actually, it looks like it's at 1260 or 1280. You can't tell which number that actually is. Marines stimming and trying to make these mutas go away, but unfortunately for those Marines, they won't get too many shots off, and they're just wasting stims left and right are these Marines. Let's take a look at their health. Many of them are in the yellow now, so they need to really stop stimming at every opportunity.